Hi, everybody. Meteorologist Joe Cioffi here. Weather in 5 days in 5 minutes, brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware. And with the pattern starting to change to a more winter-like pattern as we head toward Christmas and New Year's, Omni's the place to go to get all your winter cleanup products, from rock salt to Pelleto to mag ice pellets and flakes, spreaders, snow blowers, shovels, you name it. They got it at Omni, 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York, 631-756-1125 for the best prices in town. OmniTrueValue.com is the website. Okay, so we have had a little bit of leftover warm air today. Temperatures that did pretty well, upper 50s and low 60s in most of the area. And we're starting to see some clouds rolling in from the west as we had this weather front that moved on through back yesterday and last night that really didn't do anything when it went by. And now we're starting to see a little bit of a ripple develop on it. And that is going to bring precipitation into the Northeast for tomorrow. In fact, if you are traveling tomorrow in upstate New York and in New England, central and northern New England, we have winter weather advisories across a large chunk of upstate New York and through Massachusetts, also into northwestern Connecticut, winter storm warnings for most of Vermont, New Hampshire, and into Western Maine. It's been very, very quiet, even up through upstate New York and into New England. So this is really the first time that we've seen a large area get put under winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories. Now, this is going to be a moderate snow event for that area. We're really not looking at a whole lot here from the standpoint of snowfall. I think the I-90 corridor and points north, probably the best place to focus on when it comes to the total snowfall amounts, the highest snowfall amounts, particularly west of Albany. You start to get toward Utica, for example, Syracuse. You're talking about maybe some 4 and 5 inch amounts there. The I-90 corridor across Massachusetts, the northern side of that will probably finish up with about 3 inches or 3 sloppy inches, maybe 4. And you get into Vermont and New Hampshire, and you're looking at 5 or 6. Now, on the south side of that, and you get down into northern Connecticut, we're really talking about maybe a coating to an inch or so. That's going to be elevation driven, topography driven, and really it's not going to amount to too much. Plus, we are coming off a very, very warm day. And unless you have a storm of really of major intensity, it takes a while to compensate for the warm day. This is the one time that I might be on the side of the quote, the warm ground people who just love to say how the ground is too warm. Well, if you don't have a system that can put it down fast enough, then yeah, the ground doesn't cool off. Now, you go further up into upstate New York and you go up into New England, that's a whole different story. And we might see on the southern end too here, maybe some sleet down to about Route 84 in Connecticut and across New York State and back over into Pennsylvania. This is not going to be any big deal, obviously, even in the places that wind up getting the higher amount. Not much going on this evening on the radar. It's very quiet across the Northeast and down into the Mid-Atlantic states. We're seeing some showers and some heavy rains from Ohio and Kentucky back south and west down into Missouri, even a few thunderstorms showing up in parts of northwestern Arkansas and eastern Oklahoma. Also, some snow activity up in the Dakotas and some rain that is coming in on into the Pacific Northwest. So in terms of total precip here, we're looking at 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch across western PA on in through central New England. Also, for the next 7 days, some precip amounts up to a couple of inches along the coastal Carolinas and in parts of the Gulf states and back through Texas, and seeing several to many inches continuing over into southern, from California on up northward into the Pacific Northwest. Just want to give a look here to WPC in terms of I always like to look at this. This is a good guide. 50% is the darker blue, 40 to 50. So that is where this is for 2 inches or more. So if you look at this, I mean, it really pretty much says the I-90 corridor in Massachusetts, and then further north, you start to see those probabilities go way up. So I think we're going to, pretty much hit forecast. And you'll notice here the southern edge really cuts off sharply when you get down into northern Connecticut. There's only about a 0 to 5% or a 10% chance of 2 inches in the northernmost Connecticut, and then in areas in the lower and middle Hudson Valley, perhaps. Always seems to be a tough way to try to define where's the lower and where's the middle. But north of Route 84, and anyway, you'll have to go to get any kind of real chance as far as snow is concerned. So we'll look at the NAM from today. Let's see if we got the latest one, which I think we do, and we'll bring that up, and we'll take a look at this. And even the models themselves, there's so much. There is a lot of warm air, and yes, there is cold air bleeding down from the north, but it's just not really all that impressive. And in fact, on the latest run of the NAM, the rain seems to take longer and longer to get here. The rain comes in tomorrow morning, looks like a lead patch into southern New Jersey, and then dries up. And then the other area comes in later in the day. The longer it takes to come in, the warmer things are going to be. So if you look at the latest NAM run and you believe it, you're really going to have to push it pretty far north as far as where any snow is concerned. As far as the rain goes with this low, that's going to be tracking out of the Ohio Valley into western Pennsylvania and eventually just kind of center jumping to Nantucket sometime Saturday night. There's not really a whole lot here. I mean, really, this is just going to be kind of a cloudy-ish day for Saturday. The further south you go, the warmer the temperatures are going to be. Southern New Jersey, southern Pennsylvania southward will be in the 50s. You start to go northern New Jersey, northern Pennsylvania, and on up into the Hudson Valley. Then you start to go 40s and then eventually into the 30s. So that low moves out. We'll see breezy and colder conditions on Sunday. Sunday definitely the better of the 2 weekend days. And we'll pop up the GFS from earlier today so we can get you through Christmas week. And the ideas here for Christmas week have not really changed very much at all. We are going to see temperatures take a little bit of a stair step down in the first part of the week. And then as low pressure develops off the southeast coast midweek, and then you've got another low moving through the Great Lakes. You see it there with the cold front. Those two systems are going to bring down more important cold air at the end of the week, particularly for Christmas Eve and for Christmas Day. And there are some hints on the models as some energy comes in from the west that maybe, just maybe, on today's run, it actually brought in some snow, not a lot, for Christmas Day over parts of Pennsylvania and New Jersey and down into Maryland, Delaware, and Virginia. That's a long-term speculation, of course, and we're going to talk about that briefly in just a moment. Weather in 5 brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. 631-756-1125 for the best prices in town. OmniTrueValue.com is the website. So there's no question here we are seeing a pattern change this week. The NAO is negative. It kind of tries to go up toward the neutral line over the next couple of days and into early next week, and then most of the members plunge negative as we go toward Christmas and beyond. The Pacific North America Index, or the PNA, is negative now, but we're starting to see more and more members go back to the neutral line and even start to punch positive. So this is a good an indicator of colder air coming in and for the longer term, and maybe some opportunities for snow as we head toward the end of the month and the beginning of the new year. And the Arctic oscillation, which I find very impressive here, goes super negative. In fact, many members are 3 and 4 standard deviations negative. And when the Arctic oscillation says it's negative, it means you have higher pressures at the poles and cold air getting displaced southward. So the teleconnections in the longer term are growing more and more bullish with respect to how this is going to play out for the last week of December and going into January. The one thing I would just caution, I've mentioned this over the last couple of days, that it could also very well be cold and dry. None of this is any kind of guarantee for snow lovers here, folks. It could still turn out to be cold and dry, but you can see the blocks that are developing, one over Greenland, one over the Aleutians, and you do have, this is for Wednesday and Thursday, you do have that flow out of Canada setting up. There's energy along the West Coast. Some of that gets locked away, but there is going to be some energy that's going to try to swing eastward as we go through Christmas and next week. And we'll have to see when we get toward, for example, if you look at this view here, as we are now at, say, December 28th, 29th, this would kind of argue that, in a sense, we would be a bit too deep into the cold air. It's just northwest flow forever with a low out southeast of Newfoundland and another low that is sitting off the Pacific Northwest coast. So this is why I bring up the possibility for you snow lovers out there that this could all wind up being cold and dry, and then when you finally get something to break through the flow, it warms up and rains. So, and I've seen that often enough throughout my 40-plus year career. So we'll keep you up to date on what's going on over the weekend. We'll have a Christmas outlook up on my weather platform on Patreon, patreon.com/meteorologist Joe Cioffi. And the Joe and Joe Weather Show will be back on Sunday. Joe is back. We were on yesterday. And we'll be back Sunday at the usual Sunday morning time of 11 a.m. Eastern. So have a great Friday night and a very lovely weekend.